listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
Why is Red Dead Redemption 2 so special? And why is it that very few other games are able to capture the same features that make it this way? These are some of the questions I'll attempt to answer in this video. Of course, there will be major spoilers for Red Dead in this video, but let's get started. Red Dead Redemption 2, at its core, is a cowboy game, where you can do all the cowboy things. Rob at gunpoint, get in shootouts, drink at the saloon and gamble all your money away. You know, normal cowboy things. But in terms of setting, what makes Red Dead Redemption more than that is the concept of change. The world as these characters know is changing, from the old Wild West into a modern civilized society. As is mentioned at the start of the game, the West is dying and the days of gangs are over, which is shown all throughout the game, with the Pinkertons constantly on the character's tail, as lawlessness has no place in this modern world, as well as locations like Saint Denis, an industrial smog-filled city symbolising the turning of the century. This idea of change and the progression of society is what makes this game more than just a silly cowboy game. It makes the characters feel like they're trying to survive, adapting in any way they can in a world that's left them behind. It makes the setting feel real, and that there's real stakes. In the story, we travel with our gang, which has a whole array of interesting and unique individuals that make this game special. Dutch, who is probably the best example of complex character development throughout the series, is, at the beginning of the game, portrayed as the charismatic leader of the gang, a father figure to John and Arthur, and a teacher to many of the gang members. However, as tensions grow higher and things start to go wrong, we see a change in the character, as he starts his descent into madness.
I'll tell you what, you give me this ship, $10,000 and safe passage out of here, I'll let you live.
I'll do no such thing!
You sure? Good. I prefer it this way.
After the death of his closest friend and advisor, Hosea, Dutch becomes detached and unhinged, which is worsened when that role is filled by Micah, who manipulates Dutch, and as he becomes blinded by visions of freedom, becomes paranoid of a snake in the gang, which is partially thanks to Micah's manipulation. Dutch's grand plan eventually leads to leaving those closest to him for dead.
Come on! We need to go.
You ran away.
Oh, I did no such thing. Don't be a fool. They could be back here any minute. We did it, gentlemen.
This amazing character development of the hero who turns into the villain of the story is really what puts this game up there for one of the best game stories. Dutch personifies the theme of change, fighting for survival, for him and others around him, and doing what he can to get his freedom, until it eventually consumes him and others around him. As they say, the path of evil is paved with good intentions. John, the main protagonist of Red Dead 1, also goes through a huge journey in his character development. At the start of Red Dead 2, we see him simply as a gun for the gang, with his family, Abigail and 3-year-old Jack. We see how he wants nothing to do with Abigail, and rejects Jack as his own son. However, as events transpire, like Dutch, he goes through a rigorous change in his character, becoming more and more disillusioned by Dutch's leadership, and his loyalty turns to his family, spending more time with Abigail and his child, wanting better for them, and wanting out of this outlaw life that him and his family have been dragged into, which is where Arthur comes in. John's character development, turning from a cold killer into a family man, is almost a mirrored image of what Dutch goes through from chapters 1 to 6. John goes on a journey of self-realization and independence from the gang, especially after he was left for dead by the man who raised him, leaving him to fend for himself and his family.
Dutch!
John?
You left me! You left me to die! My boy, I didn't have a choice. John, I didn't have a choice. Left me!
The depth and authenticity of John's evolution is partly what makes the game so special and so engaging, with realistic and emotional stories of individuals, as these characters are forced to change and be shaped into who they truly are. Dutch, John, Arthur, Charles, Sadie. These are only a few examples of the complex characters that we see in the gang, and as the game progresses, we see these characters twist and evolve into essentially totally different people by the end of the game, as the world takes its toll and forces them to choose sides and do what they think is right, splintering the group and their loyalties.
We ain't got time for this, not now.
We ain't both gonna make it. Go. Now, I'll hold them off. It would mean a lot to me. Please. Ain't no more time for talk. Go.
Arthur!
Go to your family.
Arthur!
Get the hell out of here and be a goddamn man.
You're my brother.
Arthur is first introduced as the right-hand man of Dutch, and the most veteran member of 20 years, being raised in the gang at a young age, with John becoming almost like brothers, with Dutch and Hosea as his parental figures. He plays a significant role in the gang's dynamics, being the most grizzled, loyal, and skilled outlaw in the gang, becoming a cold-hearted killer after the mother of his son and his child was shot dead and robbed for $10. Arthur's redemption arc begins when he contracts tuberculosis as he beats a sick man to death for a debt collection, demonstrating to the character that you can't lead a bad life and have good things happen to you. This is the catalyst which starts Arthur down the path of questioning his own morality and his actions in the gang of outlaws, as well as the leadership and his loyalty to Dutch. As Arthur faces challenges, he reflects more on his values and choices, leading to his own introspection and growth from a cold-hearted murderer, whose only thoughts were of making money and blindly following the orders of whatever Dutch asked of him, to a desperate, sick man whose last dying wishes were at least to do one good thing, one loving act, before he perishes. Arthur achieves this goal when he helps John and his family get to safety, getting them out the gang and giving them one more chance of a decent life. Arthur's redemption is giving someone else something that he can't have, a selfless act that shows just how much the character has changed, and is an extremely powerful narrative that gives a tragic and emotional resonance to the game. This game is special. It may or may not be your cup of tea. However, I do think that everybody should at least try it, as there is truly nothing else out there like Red Dead Redemption 2. Thank you.